welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. Today I have another TBR video for you for the month of March 2024. I have 6 books on my TBR, technically kind of 7, but I'll talk about that in a second. A lot of Star Wars books. I have a few Star Wars books on here. I have a couple other ones as well. Some stuff that I'm excited about. So first, the kind of 7th book that I'm going to talk about is Of Shadow and Sea by Will White, which was on my February TBR, but I did not get to finish that in February, so I'm going to be working on that in the beginning of March. That's not really part of my actual TBR, but I just wanted to mention it real quick. Next one that I have to talk about is my one reread for the month. Of course, I plan to do a reread every month of this year, and this month I'm going to be doing Dune, because the new Dune movie, Dune Part 2, is coming out this month, and I was hoping that I would be able to reread this in time to put out my review around the time the movie comes out, but the movie comes out very early in the month, so I'm not going to be able to do that, but I figured I could at least read the book this month and have my review out this month, so it's at least somewhat topical. It's been under 2 years since I read this one. I read it kind of springtime of 2022, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I would like to reread it again, even though it is very soon still, you know, it's been less than 2 years. I still want to reread it for a couple reasons. First of all, I want to see how it holds up for me now that it's been a couple years, and I feel like I maybe didn't quite get into it as much as I feel like I could have or should have. And also because I have been considering buying the next couple of books in the series. Anytime I go to like the bookstore or whatever and I'm gonna get new books, I always see the next couple Dune books and I'm like, should I get those? But I don't really know for sure yet if I want to continue the series, because I'm not quite sure, you know, if it's something that's really for me. Because I was a little bit mixed in some places about the first book. So I want to reread the first book again, see what I think of it now. And if I like it a lot, then, you know, I might pick up the next book sometime. So that is going to be my one reread for the month. The next one that I have is one that I actually talked about in my January TBR that I never got around to, so I'll be pretty brief with this one as well. That is Destiny's Way, Star Wars, The New Jedi Order, book 14, I think. Next New Jedi Order book, been loving this series. It's been a couple months now since I've read a book in this series. I think the last one that I read was in December, so it's been a couple months. So want to get back into this series, and I just didn't get around to it in January, so I figured I'd include it in this one. Next Star Wars book that I plan to read is one that I have had for ages, but I just never got around to reading, and that is I, Jedi by Mike Stackpole, I think, who wrote this. This is, from what I've heard, kind of a companion to the Jedi Academy trilogy, which is a trilogy that I don't love. That now that I've reread it, you know, not too long ago, like a year and a half ago, or a little more, or a little less than that. Sometime like that. But it holds a very special place in my heart because it was the first EU trilogy that I read, or the first EU books in general that I read that were not novelizations. The first like purely new story for the EU that I ever read. And so I want to check this out. And I have had this book in my possession for almost 2 years, and I have not read it. And so I was like, well, I should probably read that soon, so I figured I'd put on my TBR for this month. Yeah, so hopefully I enjoy this one. I've heard some kind of mixed things about it, but hopefully I enjoy this one, and you know, it's one that I just want to read because I've had it for so long, and it's not one of the ones where I really need to read other books first. Like, there's a few other books that I have that I have to wait on because they're later in the timeline and I don't want to spoil them, that I own, but this is not one of those. So there's not really any reason for me to not just get it out of the way now. So gonna be checking out that one. The final Star Wars book that I plan to read this month is a short one. It is Before the Awakening. This is the one canon book that I have on my list for this month. This is one that I've kind of read already. This is kind of a reread, but I just never finished it. This is one of the books from the Journey to the Force Awakens line that came out, I think this came out before The Force Awakens did, and it was like this line of, there was, I think, a couple of adult novels. I know that Lost Stars was one of the books for that. It's not an adult novel, but that was another one of the books in this initiative. And there were several like middle grade books as well that were part of Journey to Force Awakens, Journey to Last Jedi, things like that, and I want to read all of those sometime as well. This is the one that I own out of the middle grade books for that. Basically it gives the backstory on each of the 3 main characters of Force Awakens, those being Rey, Finn, and Poe. I read the Ray and Finn sections, but I never read the Poe section. So I would like to get back into this, read the whole thing, and see what I think of it. So that should be a pretty quick one because it was really short. I've read the first 2/3 of it in like an hour or two, I think, back when I originally read this. So pretty quick read, I think. Then to finish things off, we have 2 fantasy books that I plan to read. First, Percy Jackson, The Battle of the Labyrinth, I think. This is the 4th book. I read the 3rd book a couple of months ago, and I enjoyed it, as I have all of these books. I didn't, this is not a favorite series for me, but it's one that I've enjoyed. And so I am looking forward to continuing with the 4th book. And I plan to finish the series here within a couple months. I'll probably read the last book, in like 2 months or so, maybe. Or maybe next month, we'll see what I'm feeling like. But I'll be finishing the series anytime very soon, or at least the original 5 books. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to this one. Should be fun, and the first 3 books have been pretty fun, so I expect this one will be as well. And then the final book that I have here is a Discworld book by Terry Pratchett, which is The Color of Magic. I'm very much looking forward to this one because I have loved the 3 Discworld books that I have read. Pratchett's writing is just so delightful and I love it. It's so much fun to read. And this is the first Discworld book that was ever published, which is interesting. I've heard it's a bit weaker than some of the other ones for that reason, so I'm expecting, I'm going to go into it expecting it to be maybe not as mind-blowingly great as the other books that I have really enjoyed out of this series, but hopefully I do like it. And this is the first book of one of the other like sub-series within Discworld. I can't remember the name of the sub-series, but I have this book and then I have the next book, which is The Light Fantastic, which I believe is also the second book in this sub-series. So I'll probably be reading that sometime within the next few months or something like that as well. Yeah, looking forward to reading some more Discworld, and I'm very excited. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, if so. If you liked any of these, if you didn't like any of these, if you're excited to hear my thoughts on these, which one you're most excited to hear my thoughts on, all those kinds of things, let me know in the comments down below. So that is pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.